We all know Mykelti Padron has a very public dislike for her, what would you call her other mother or stepmother. Her what would you call Meri either way. She don't like Meri, okay, let's quit. Beating around bushes, she don't like. Meri at all like Peyton, don't like Meri. Like Maddie, don't like Meri well now. We're going to talk about it because Mel laughs off Meri's a little confessional. And things Meri has to say in a recent episode of Sister Wives. Mykelti reacts to the Show Her Family show that is on her Patreon and answers fans' questions from time to time, so go check it out if you choose. Y'all, today she is discussing Meri and laughing at Meri. Before we get into it, I got to say welcome back to my channel. I don't know how you got here, but I'm so glad you're here. If you're new here, I hope you stick around and subscribe, hit that notification bell. Besides subscribe, make sure it's set to all so you'll be notified whenever I upload. A fan recently took to Reddit because this is still a hot topic of discussion. Okay, do not get it twisted. We're not going to sleep on this topic. There's more to the story. There always is. Mykelti and why she doesn't like Meri. Recently on Mel's Patreon, she mentions that Meri is just mad that she lost Mel's downline, Mel or Maddie. She's talking about on Lulu. Maddie said she had a fallen out with Meri years ago over business, saying that Meri told her she wasn't working hard enough. From the sounds of things, they got along well enough. They got along well enough with Meri to work with her. Now they call her abusive. I'm doing to rewatch, and it makes me sad that they don't appreciate some things, some of the nice things she did for them, if they aren't going to say what Meri did exactly. That's not right to infer that she was abusive. Now, I said this before and people are like, how dare you ask for details? But since there were like 500 comments, I'm going to read through those. Hey, their words, not mine. I'm just reading them. I think Meri was the most constant disciplinarian of the children. Kody was the fun guy. Christine was the gentle parent. Janelle, admittedly, but most par left most parenting to the others. With that many kids, someone had to be the main one to attempt to reduce the chaos, I'm sure. Also, it sounds like Maddie and Mel to joined the NLM, hoping to make money, but may not have realized how much work creating and maintaining a downline takes. I had an ex-friend who did Herbalife. Ooh, loaded teas. I love loaded teas. And she was just as involved in helping her downlines find new customers and make sales. Meri regularly organized parties, meetups, etc., for which she wanted that infamous wet bar. They probably thought it would be easy money. Meri get them customers, and they would make, and they would rack in the money. I don't blame them, though they were very young and were just following the family example on how to treat Meri, of course. I'm not a huge fan of Mykelti, and this could be feeding into my bias. I've been downvoted and received so many angry replies for saying more than once I believe Meri was a disciplinarian. That's where the abuse allegations come from. Kody plainly, Lord have mercy. Can I read Kody plainly said that because he didn't see all the kids every day, that he didn't want to discipline. He didn't want that to be their last interaction for days. As you said, Janelle was fine letting everyone else parent, and in my opinion, Christine just ignored any Robyn, but made sure they were fed and bathed, when 4 other parents just let everything go all the time. I'm sure it feels like abuse when one finally calls them out. People made such a big deal about Meri getting on to the older kids over picking on the younger ones. That one time kids need correction, and with that many, sometimes the volume has to be cranked up. Well, crank it up, I know the women put up with a lot of crap because of their beliefs, but I don't really think Janelle and Christine would have stood by while Meri abused their kids, and if they did, they were just as guilty. I usually get downvoted for saying that too. Yep, I always got the feeling they were happy to let Meri be the disciplinarian. Janelle was pretty disconnected from her kids until they were at least young adults. Christine was more interested in being their friend And being the fun, spontaneous parent in Kody, only wanted to be around the kids who yawned over him. Meri has been the consistent one, and now that apparently makes her the villain in a couple of adult kids' stories. And having your own kids that puts how you were raised in a different light. Okay, these are some long-winded responses. Lord have mercy. It's the weekend. I'm starting to think that the Browns' feelings toward Meri was very colored by Kody. Yes, Meri is type A in particular, but she isn't the villain that Kody makes her out to be. I am curious at what y'all are thinking. Well, think Meri is mad like Mykelti says, or do you think Mykelti is really mad? What did Meri did? What did Meri do? I'm sure Meri is doing just fine financially without Mel in her downline. Laugh my ass off. Meri doesn't have to resort to petty Patreon drama just to make ends meet. Mel can stay mad she sucks. God, they don't like Mel. They call Meri abusive, but I honestly think that's 'cause Meri is the only mom to actually discipline them. I don't mean physically, but she probably yelled, whereas the other moms just let the kids get away. You know, like the mamas that's in the grocery store at Walmart, and their kids are literally the loudest things in existence around you, and the kids are screaming, yelling, making noises, and you walk by and the mama is just like in La La Land. Yeah, pretty sure that was Janelle and Christine. La La Land Massas. Am I the only one who always thought the issues with Meri and Maddie, or Meri and Mel, were always going to be they didn't work hard enough? Meri has a huge capacity to work, and I've never got the idea that the girls were even in work, were even acquainted. This was confirmed when Maddie said that she was all upset when Meri said she needed to talk to her. But she wasn't in trouble like bosses say all the time. It's not bad. It's not unusual. If you didn't guess, we're reading the short answer, the short comments. That way we can fit more comments into the video. I feel like Mel T had problems with Meri before Robyn joined the family, which could have been minor until she lived with Robyn. Robyn convinced Mykelti that they were worse to have Mel to favor her over Christine. I am so confused with that. She was strict, that much is true. But did it rise to the level of abuse? Who knows, unless they say what it was. What had happened was Maddie and Mel have nothing to do with Meri, but I think it had more to do with business. Logan Hunter gave Gwen Isabel. And at one time, Robyn's kids seemed to really like her. People seemed to forget that it was Robyn who told Mel and Peyton that they were abused in the first place, so I don't believe any of it that's true. Oh, did Robyn tell him that? Did Robyn brainwashing? Doesn't surprise me with Mykelti. I suspect Robyn convinced her that Meri was so abusive. Peyton as well. However, Gwen and Isabel loved her. I suspect that Meri protected Gwen against Peyton, and that's why he hates Meri. Well, I'm so confused. What do y'all think about all of this? Why does Mykelti and Maddie and Peyton have an issue with Meri? Like, let's just get down to the nitty-gritty of it all. What's the issue? Clearly, Christine has an issue too. I'm pretty sure it's because her kids have an issue. I mean, Christine has been nice and welcoming to Meri as of RAC recently. On recent episodes this season that we've seen, like I.A. Gwendol and engagement party, very sweet and welcoming and nice to Meri. Janelle Sane. Wonder what kind of grudge that Maddie holds, because remember, Maddie went on X, which was once known as Twitter. Maddie went on there and called Meri a monster, and then Peyton went on an interview with John Yates and said that mean, abusive and abrasive, or whatever. We're not strong enough words to describe Meri, and we know Mykelti doesn't like Meri. So what happened? What did Meri do? Let me know what you'll think in the comments below. Don't forget to like and share this video. Let's get the discussion going. Also subscribe if you're new here and have not already hit that subscribe button. Click that notification bell. Besides subscribe, make sure it's set to all so you'll be notified whenever I upload. I love you for watching. I can't wait to read what y'all are Thinking I'll see you in my next video. The world of sister wives has always been filled with emotional complexities, family dynamics, and sometimes uncomfortable truths. One of the most compelling storylines over the years has been the relationship between Mykelti Padron, Kody Brown's daughter from his second wife, Christine Brown, and Meri Brown, Kody's first wife. In recent seasons, Mykelti has not been shy about expressing her feelings about Meri, and her words have sparked plenty of controversy, leaving fans and fellow family members alike wondering, what exactly is the issue between them? Meri Brown, as the first wife of Kody, has often been a polarizing figure in the sister wives universe. While her relationship with Kody is marked by years of struggle and emotional distance, Mykelti's feelings toward her have only grown more complicated over time. In a recent interview, Mykelti opened up about why she dislikes Meri Brown, shedding light on the emotional rift that exists between them and offering fans a deeper understanding of the tension that has been quietly simmering behind the scenes. A history of tension, Mykelti's perspective. To understand why Mykelti dislikes Meri, it's important to look back at the history between the two. Mykelti, as a child, grew up in a plural family dynamic where the wives were expected to maintain a level of unity and respect toward one another. However, her mother, Christine, had her own complicated history with Meri, especially as the dynamics in the Brown family evolved. Christine and Meri's relationship, at times, was filled with tension, and it was often apparent that the family's first wife was not always the easiest person to get along with. From Mykelti's perspective, Meri's role in the family often seemed more divisive than unifying. Growing up in an environment where the wives were expected to be supportive and collaborative, Mykelti may have felt the absence of a true sense of sisterhood with Meri. While Christine, Janelle, and Robyn worked to create a more harmonious atmosphere for their children, Mykelti may have felt that Meri's involvement, especially during moments of family distress, was more about maintaining her own personal stake in the family rather than promoting unity. Moreover, Mykelti's own experiences as an adult and as a member of a plural family may have influenced her views on Meri. As she grew older, Mykelti began to see the complexities of plural marriage in a new light, one that did not necessarily align with Meri's often traditional approach to the family dynamic. Meri's emotional distance. One of the primary reasons Mykelti has expressed dislike toward Meri is the latter's emotional distance, particularly in relation to her relationship with Kody. Meri's complicated and, at times, tumultuous relationship with Kody has been a prominent storyline throughout Sister Wives. The breakdown of their marriage, especially after Kody's decision to emotionally distance himself from her, led to a series of emotional struggles for Meri. However, these struggles also affected the entire family, including Mykelti. For Mykelti, who has always craved emotional connection and unity in the family, watching Kody's neglect of Meri may have felt like a sign of dysfunction in the very core of the Brown family unit. The lack of intimacy and emotional support between Meri and Kody left Mykelti feeling disillusioned about Meri's role in the family. As a young adult, Mykelti may have expected more from the first wife, someone who was supposed to set the tone for the family dynamic. Instead, Meri's emotional withdrawal and the subsequent fallout between her and Kody may have created a rift not only between them, but also between Meri and the other family members, including Mykelti. The controversial catfish incident. Another significant incident that strained the relationship between Mykelti and Meri was the infamous catfish incident. In 2015, Meri Brown became involved in an online catfishing scandal, where she was tricked into believing she was in a romantic relationship with a man who turned out to be a woman. This public humiliation was incredibly damaging to Meri's reputation and also impacted the family dynamic. From Mykelti's perspective, this scandal may have felt like a betrayal to the family. Not only did Meri's actions draw unwanted attention to the family, but they also exposed the deep emotional wounds that Meri had been hiding. Mykelti may have seen Meri's involvement in the catfishing scheme as a desperate cry for attention or validation, which in turn may have felt selfish and irresponsible to Mykelti. The emotional fallout from the incident was not limited to Meri. It affected the entire family, and Mykelti may have felt that Meri's actions put the family at risk in ways that were both unnecessary. The aftermath of the catfishing scandal revealed just how isolated Meri had become. While the other wives had each other for support, Meri seemed to retreat further into herself, which likely created even more distance between her and the rest of the family. Mykelti, who had always sought emotional security and stability within the family, may have struggled to reconcile her feelings for Meri after this public incident. Mykelti's own marriage, a contrast to Meri's struggles. As Mykelti entered into her own plural marriage with Tony Padron, her perspective on relationships and family began to evolve. She sought to create a family dynamic that was supportive, loving, and emotionally fulfilling. Watching Meri's struggles with Kody, as well as the emotional isolation that seemed to define her life, may have only deepened Mykelti's frustration with Meri. In contrast to her own relationship, which was built on communication, trust, and mutual respect, Mykelti saw Meri's situation as a cautionary tale about the dangers of emotional neglect within a plural marriage. Moreover, Mykelti's understanding of marriage and family may have shifted as she matured. She likely began to see the complexities of her parents' relationships more clearly, and began to understand how vital emotional connections were within any family structure. Meri's struggles with Kody and her seeming inability to create lasting emotional bonds within the family may have highlighted to Mykelti what she didn't want for herself and her own family. The root of Mykelti's dislike. At the core of Mykelti's dislike of Meri lies the feeling of emotional neglect and the lack of genuine connection. While Meri has certainly faced her own hardships, including her emotional struggles with Kody, Mykelti may have viewed Meri's actions as selfish or disconnected from the needs of the larger family. The emotional distance between Meri and Kody, the fallout from the catfish scandal, and Meri's overall demeanor of isolation likely left Mykelti feeling that Meri had become a disruptive force within the family rather than a supportive, nurturing presence. Mykelti's disappointment with Meri is not simply about personality clashes or individual conflicts. It's about how Meri's actions and emotional struggles affected the family as a whole. In many ways, Mykelti may have been disappointed in Meri's failure to maintain strong, supportive relationships with the other wives and the children. Growing up in a family where unity and emotional bonds were key, Mykelti's own expectations of what a plural marriage should look like might have been challenged by Meri's inability to create a healthier, more emotionally fulfilling family dynamic. Conclusion. The relationship between Mykelti Padron and Robyn Brown is far more complex than it might initially seem. Mykelti's dislike of Meri is rooted in deep emotional issues, including Meri's emotional distance, her struggles within her marriage to Kody, and the fallout from the catfish scandal. As Mykelti navigates her own plural marriage and seeks to build a supportive and loving family, she likely views Meri's emotional isolation as both a cautionary tale and a source of frustration. While the two women may never fully reconcile, understanding the root causes of their strained relationship provides important context for the ongoing drama in the Brown family. All from U.S.A. shows. Mykelti. Kody Brown. Related. For You. Recently uploaded.